The CBS 4 News at 5.
If this hits South Florida, this is going to be the once-in-a-generation storm. It's the big one for us.
Okay, some very sobering words from a man with a lot of experience looking at these hurricanes. He actually said this could be the big one.
Yeah, those were the words we were all frightened to hear. Let's turn now to Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer. Craig.
Yeah, and those are the words that I've had in my head for a few days and didn't want to utter it out loud because I didn't want to precede, of course, Dr. Ed Rappaport, who has been studying hurricanes for years and years and years. In fact, he worked at the National Hurricane Center during Andrew in 1992, so he has at least the depth of experience when it comes to hurricanes. All right, here's what's going on with Irma tonight. Some meteorological curiosities or interesting facts here. First off, there is the eye right there and the eye wall. It's that red part right there. That's the business part of the hurricane. That's where the winds are 185 miles an hour. But if you look just outside of that, there is a bigger eye wall here starting to form. Right now we have what we call concentric eye walls, an inner eye wall and an outer eye wall. If you remember last year, and you may not, it's fine, during Matthew, for a time, Matthew had concentric eye walls when it was to the east of us, and we could see that on the radar, that it had this middle, this inner, and this outer eye wall. Now, what Irma has had a history of doing is going through what we call eye wall replacement cycles, where this new eye wall forms out here, and that middle eye wall gets starved, basically, and then it will fall apart, deteriorate, and this new bigger eye wall will then take over and slowly contract over time. Typically when that happens, the intensity of the storm, that high 185 wind speed, goes down, but it doesn't stay down. As the new eye wall contracts, then the winds come back up, and then it could be back to 185 miles an hour or somewhere in that area, but still Category 5. So this intensity fluctuation that's likely coming up here in the next several hours should not be an indication that the storm is overall weakening. It's a natural cycle hurricanes go through. So I don't want anybody to see an update here where the winds are down thinking this is a weakening trend. It's not. It's just a fluctuation in the intensity. You can see very close to Puerto Rico there. The second eye wall, that outer eye wall, just lashing the coast there, and the winds have been pretty strong. In fact, from our neighborhood network sites in Puerto Rico, we've had a wind gust to 87 miles an hour, 66 miles an hour, these around the northern coast of Puerto Rico there, and in San Juan, 58 miles an hour. So gusts into the hurricane force range, but the sustained winds so far have been a little bit below that. Here's the 7 o'clock update. 185 mile an hour winds moving to the west-northwest at 16, Category 5. And that's the overall storm size there of the winds that are greater than 40 miles an hour. We call that the tropical storm force winds. And so the storm wind field pretty big with that inner core that's very, very strong. Here is the Thursday evening position bearing down on the Turks and Caicos. Going to be a very bad night for the Turks and Caicos and eventually the southeast Bahamas. That's the Friday position there. And remember, the storm much bigger than the cone still at this point, passing it through the straits here just north of the Cuban coast. And then after that, this is where the turn starts to take place. This is the Saturday 2 p.m. position. Still major hurricane, and it's possible the wind field could be expanding at this point, so it's going to be pushing a lot of water with it and ahead of it. We should see our tides gradually keep coming up and up and up and up as the storm approaches. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. There is the Sunday 2 p.m. position. And as you can see, that is an eye-opener, seeing a 4 icon right over Miami there for Sunday at 2 p.m. There's still the possibility because of track error that it could be east or west of that position, but this position hasn't moved much, nor the other position up to the north there. So, of course, they're watching us in the Carolinas, watching this system very closely. Here are the models, and some of these are now mixed with some of the evening models. In fact, I'm going to show you the GFS because we've been tracking it so closely. This is the new GFS run that has just come in, and it is not much different than its earlier run, and it's also very close to the Euro models. Once again, the confidence is higher than normal that this solution right through here is an outcome. This is the Sunday time frame. This would be Sunday morning. Then going into Sunday evening, you can see both models bring the center of the storm very close, if not over South Florida. Remember, the thing we're most concerned about It's that eye wall. That is the thing that is going to be doing the damage, the destruction. The bigger wind field we can get through. It would be a Wilma-like event for South Florida, power outages and damage to buildings, things like that. But it's that inner eye wall that we want to stay away from, because that is the worst part of the hurricane. Now, in terms of timing, we still have tomorrow and Friday to make preparations. Hot sun and storms tomorrow. Friday is the last good weather day for preparations, so everything needs to be done that you're going to do by sunset Friday night, because Saturday there may be some early travel, but that's going to be questionable. But the wind and the squalls will increase as we go through the day. Saturday and Sunday will be the hurricane. More on Irma in just a little bit.
Greg, thanks a lot. Pretty scary stuff, guys. When you see that eye wall, let's hope it stays away from us.
Exactly.
All right, we want to bring you up to speed on the latest from our 3 county governments. For those of you in Monroe County, the instructions are simple. Get out. A mandatory evacuation order for residents went into effect just minutes ago at 7 p.m. Visitors were told to leave this morning. Shelters for Monroe County residents will open tomorrow at Florida International University and at the Miami-Dade County Fairgrounds.
And in Miami-Dade, Mayor Carlos Jimenez has called for voluntary evacuations from coastal areas. 4 shelters have opened. They opened at 5 p.m. to accommodate residents. And in just a couple of minutes, we'll break down for you where they are. The airport is still open right now. So is Port Miami, which means supplies and gas are still coming in.
That's good news. Meantime, for Broward residents, Mayor Barbara Sharif has called for evacuations to start tomorrow at noon. That's for areas east of Federal Highway and for the barrier islands in Broward as well. And take a look, closer one this time at those areas on this map. Those are zones A and B on the county's evacuation map. 14 shelters will open at noon, and you can find a full list on our website at cbsmiami.com. And right now we want to talk live with the mayor of Broward County, Barbara Sharif, and we know you're very busy. Mayor, thanks very much for giving us a couple of minutes of your time. And why don't we start by talking about the decision to evacuate, and what is your biggest concern going into this storm?
So first of all, we know that the winds are at 185 miles per hour, and they have been projected to decrease to about 140 miles per hour when they hit Broward County. The issue with that is that those who are closest to the coast are going to experience a storm surge and a wind problem, to where we're not going to be able to ensure that, 1, that they can be safe, and 2, that we can get to them safely if we need to.
And Mayor
so
Sharif,
it's really
I apologize.
important that
I am so sorry for jumping in. The evacuation goes into effect at noon. Stand by if you would. Mayor Carlos Jimenez is speaking right now, giving an update on Miami-Dade County. I want to listen to
home. Make sure to clear the debris from around your home and secure any objects that the hurricane could blow about. This afternoon, during our press conference with Governor Rick Scott and Senators Marco Rubio and Bill Nelson, we explained to our residents who were planning on evacuating that shelters would be opening. After receiving a briefing from our experts and emergency planners, I am issuing a mandatory evacuation order for all mobile homes, all of Zone A, and the barrier islands of Zone B, which include Bow Harbor, Bay Harbor Islands, Biscayne Park, Golden Beach, Indian Creek Village, Miami Beach, North Bay Village, Sunny Isles Beach, Surfside, and I know I didn't say Key Biscayne. Key Biscayne is in Zone A. We're alerting people 12 hours ahead, which means that they're in the mandatory evacuation zone. We're alerting people 12 hours ahead of time, giving them time to prepare. The sooner that you can get out, the better. This storm doesn't appear to be going anywhere. 4 shelters open this evening at 5 p.m. They are North Miami Beach Senior High, South Miami Senior, Felix Varela Senior, and Fuchs Pavilion, which is a pet-friendly shelter. Combined, these 4 shelters can house up to 8,000 people. Each of these shelters are open to any Miami-Dade County resident who would like to evacuate. We will open another 4 shelters tomorrow morning at 9, and additional shelters will be open as demand requires. The Hurricane Center will have additional information on the storm surge impacts to Miami-Dade County tomorrow. So once we get that information, we may need to expand the evacuation zones. I want to repeat that these shelters should be the refuge of last resort for people who truly have no place to go. We encourage everyone to provide assistance to family, co-workers, friends who are in the evacuation zone. Miami-Dade has already begun evacuating approximately 2,200 residents. with special needs who registered with the county, that process will continue through the evening. I want to remind residents that even though no one will be forcing you to leave your home, if you live in an evacuation zone and anything happens, fire rescue and police personnel may not be able to reach you. As a former chief of the Miami Fire Department and someone who's been involved in public safety and emergency management for over 40 years, I know that during an emergency situation it's important to remain calm. I want to tell everyone in Miami-Dade County and Miami-Dade County residents that there is no need to panic. However, I cannot stress it enough that it is important to be prepared. We also discussed this evening the fact that there are a number of residents of Miami-Dade County that are leaving and going north. It's important that if you make that decision that you go ahead and leave sooner rather than later. We do not want to see you in a car in the middle of a hurricane. We expect traffic situations going up the state. So now I'll have some of my remarks in Spanish. Buenas noches a todos.
Okay, Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez now making some statements in Spanish to sum it up. And this is important information. The mayor announcing voluntary evacuations in zones A and B. Basically, these are the coastal areas of Miami-Dade County, Miami Beach, Key Biscayne, parts of South Miami-Dade, close to the coast. He is announcing a voluntary evacuation right now, saying that if you're in trouble when the storm hits, they cannot guarantee that county police and fire rescue personnel can get to you to help you.
He urged not to panic. He said don't panic, but if you can leave, if you have somewhere inland to go, it's best to leave now. If those mandatory evacuations come later down the road, it's best that you have already gotten out of there and already found safe ground.
And evacuations are exactly what we were talking with the mayor of Broward County about before Mayor Jimenez began his news conference. Barbara Sharif joining us from Broward County with the latest on that. And sorry to have cut you off there a few moments ago. Thanks for staying with us. And let me go back to that question about evacuations, because you announced the mandatory evacuations before you announced the location of the shelters. We heard from viewers in Broward County that they were a little confused about that. So what is the message to people who decide not to evacuate, and can you clear up the confusion?
So first of all, our shelters have been posted on our website since the beginning. We just wanted to make sure that they knew that those were the shelters that they could evacuate to immediately. We have 43 shelters available. The first 14 that we have up and running are the ones that we have on our website, so really there should be no confusion. The reason why we announced the mandatory evacuation for those who are located east of Federal Highway because of the storm surge that we're expecting, because of the wind and the water that it's carrying with it, and the same concerns that Mayor Jimenez expressed, which is we want to be able to make sure that they're safe and that we can reach them if they're in an area, you know, that wasn't evacuated. So these persons that we've asked to voluntarily evacuate today, this is going to be a mandatory evacuation as of 12 noon tomorrow, and we need them to really take this seriously. This is a Category 5 storm. This is very serious. This is akin to Andrew, and we know that that's caused some serious damage on our coastline.
Well, Mayor Barbara Sharif, we know that you are doing your best and your team to coordinate efforts in Broward County, and we'll be checking back with you over the next couple of days. Thank you so much for your time.
And we want to go now to a break. We'll have much more on what you need to know about Hurricane Irma, the Category 5 storm barreling our way, in just a few moments.
As Jose Felix Diaz sold us out. Diaz voted to raise our property taxes by $500 million. He raked in over $250,000 from big insurance and sold us out, voting to allow them to raise property insurance rates by 15%. And Diaz sold out our kids, cutting public schools by $1.3 billion and giving millions in public school funds to for-profit corporations. Diaz looking out for special interests, selling us out.
First little doggy was a white one. That little birdie was too. Second little doggy.
Leaving a career to follow a calling takes courage.
Pair of shoes and they were free bird dog.
A personalized financial strategy can give you confidence to take the next step.
Hi guys. Doggies off to see the world. Oh yeah.
See how access to JP Morgan investment expertise can help you. Chase, make more of what's yours.
CBS Health Watch is sponsored by Pediatric Associates.
For student athletes, going back to school means getting a special health screening. Part of this evaluation may identify life-threatening heart conditions. The screening includes a detailed family medical history, a cardiac-specific physical examination, and an EKG. A student athlete with any heart problem should be evaluated by a pediatric cardiologist.
CBS Health Watch is sponsored by Pediatric Associates.
You guys are ready! Oh, you guys are ready!
Ticket, please.
Of course, I got it right here.
There's nothing there.
It's loading. It takes a little bit. Just give me like a minute, guys.
Here's my ticket. It's mine works.
Bob realized he needed unlimited 4G LTE data, so he switched to Metro PCS to get the best unlimited deal in wireless. 2 lines of unlimited 4G LTE data for only $75 period. Plus 2 free 32-gig phones. Enjoy the best unlimited deal in wireless on a reliable 4G LTE network. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out.
Welcome back to our extended coverage of Hurricane Irma. We want to clarify right now. Earlier we heard from the mayor of Miami-Dade County. As we take a look at this video from the Florida Keys where people are getting out, a mandatory evacuation order for residents went into effect in the Keys minutes ago. Visitors were told to leave this morning. But let's talk about Miami-Dade County, guys, because the mayor of Miami-Dade said that this is a mandatory evacuation for folks who live in zones A and B. And you can go to the website for Miami-Dade County and you can see which are the areas. These are the coastal areas. We're talking about Miami Beach, Key Biscayne. So it's a mandatory evacuation that the mayor of Miami Beach is ordering, much like what we heard from the mayor of Broward County.
Yeah, exactly. And the concern is that they want to be able to keep people safe. And as we saw in Houston, where there were no evacuations, we saw the number of people who decided to stay behind, even as people were trying to do those rescues in their personal boats. And then it was up to the authorities to put their lives at risk to try to go and save people. So they're trying to avoid that here.
Yeah, if you can get out now, it's best just to do that. And some of the worst storms going back to the Keys could be felt there in the Keys. The storm surge is one of the deadliest parts of any storm, and Irma could be quite serious in Monroe County.
CBS 4's David Sutter is monitoring preparations in Monroe County and joins us live from Marathon. David?
Actually, we moved down to Key West. We're standing in Mallory Square. If anyone's familiar with Mallory Square, it's where all the tourists go. It's the big attraction, all kinds of shows going on and whatnot. Tonight, pretty much a ghost town. You have a few locals hanging out here, but for the most part, everyone is gone. 12,000 tourists evacuated today here in Monroe County. A mandatory evacuation began about 20 minutes ago here, but I got to tell you, everyone's left for the most part that's going to leave. A few people are waiting another day or two to see what happens with the track, but for the most part, a lot of people are heeding the warnings. A lot of businesses have shut down. They boarded up. They basically decided they don't want to face Irma head on here like they may have done in years past. As we come on the air, though, a gorgeous night here in the Florida Keys. This is what we love about South Florida, and I'm sure a lot of people are hoping tonight that this is what remains after Irma has passed. Beautiful South Florida landscape. They're going to be opening up shelters at FIU and the Miami-Dade fairgrounds for folks coming out of Florida Keys. They expect, though, that there's not going to be a huge rush coming out of here. A lot of people have heeded those early warnings. We're live in Key West. David Sutter, CBS 4 News.
All right, David, thank you. Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer back with us. We've been looking at those different models. They seem to be converging now.
Yeah, and convergence is usually a sign of confidence, but it's not a good thing when it's right over you, and that's the way it's looking. Let's show you what's going on right now. This is the wide loop satellite here. There's South Florida. There is the storm right there coming now into the northern islands of the Caribbean, and zooming in tonight as the sun was going down, and the image stops here just before the sun gets too low because then it becomes too dark to see. It's a visible loop and it's a movie, and you can see clearly the lower cloud features rotating quickly around in the eye, and then of course the eye wall there and the storm just north of Puerto Rico. Here is the latest update. This is as of 7 p.m. 45 miles to the northeast of San Juan, category 5, moving west-northwest at 16. That west-northwest motion is going to gradually take it away from Puerto Rico and the coast there, and it will likely keep it away from Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, and Haiti there. They will feel hurricane force winds on the northern coast and at the higher elevations, but the core of the storm is going to stay offshore. After that, the core likely to go through the Turks and Caicos, impact the southeast Bahamas Friday in this general area, and then as we go into the Saturday-Sunday time frame, there's the Saturday position, there's the Sunday position. Standing by at the National Hurricane Center, Ed Rappaport, Dr. Ed Rappaport, I should say. Ed, we were talking about what you mentioned earlier about if it hits us, this would be a storm of a generation and the big one, and I was mentioning that you had a lot of experience. You were in Andrew at the National Hurricane Center, fairly new there, but tell us your perspective on this with all the storms you've seen.
We have big concern, of course, because it's our own community. We forecast for the entire Atlantic area, but when it's close to home or when it's going to hit home, it makes it very different. And so, like everyone else, we've begun to prepare at home. And for a potential major hurricane, Category 4, we hope that the turn that we've been talking about will occur in time to keep the worst of it offshore. But at this stage, we don't know. Have to prepare for the worst.
Right, of course. And one thing that we show is the wind speed probabilities. And in fact, now we're showing the hurricane force wind speed probabilities. I don't think we've shown it with such a large area of high probability of hurricane force winds approaching South Florida.
It's been a while, and part of the reason the probabilities are so high is because, in fact, it's so strong now that even if it were to weaken, we still have a strong hurricane passing over or nearby. It's not a matter of a hurricane dropping to a tropical storm, so the probabilities go down. We're expecting that the center and the hurricane force winds will pass over or very close to us.
Okay, Ed, thank you very much. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking to you a lot more in the coming days. As Ed was mentioning, it just has to come very close to us, and one of the things that we look at, we call the ensemble members, because it's one computer model but run many different times. Still showing kind of that much uncertainty right there, but the average, the mean of it is that red line there, and the actual model that a lot of folks look on at the internet, it's that blue line right there, but very, very close to the coast. And at this far out, it's too close to call which way it's going to go, and that's why we have to continue to get ready, because it's such a strong storm. And in fact, it's not the only hurricane we're dealing with in the Atlantic right now. We're watching two others, and with more on that, here's meteorologist Liz Horton.
That's right. Here's a live look at the three hurricanes we're looking at currently. So we have Irma, Jose, and Katia. And we do want to start, of course, with what's happening with Hurricane Jose. So Jose is a hurricane, a Category 1 storm, and we're currently watching that storm. It's about 1,000 miles, as you can see, east of the Lesser Antilles currently. And that storm is pretty powerful. Take a look here. You can see it's expected to become a Category 3 as it pushes off to the northwest in the coming days. And here's the kicker. It could get very close to the northern Leeward Islands, which have just dealt with Irma, and that would be very devastating. We are hoping that it will indeed stay out to sea, and of course most models are indicating that currently. Let's take you, of course, now to Hurricane Katia. 75-mile-per-hour winds, 185 miles east of Tampico, Mexico. It's expected to do a bit of a curve, a loop here out in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico before making landfall near Veracruz, Mexico between Friday and Saturday. So no major threat to the continental U.S. there. Things have calmed down here, a little bit of convection up to the north, some storms there. We're not seeing too much, though, over Miami or Fort Lauderdale, just a little bit of leftover rain here just south of Sunrise. As we take you on through tonight, we could see a few evening storms, rain here and there, otherwise just warm and very humid, 79 degrees. Now tomorrow, of course, boating conditions should be okay. No advisories for you yet. Seas 2 feet with a light chop on the bays, and you'll see those winds east-northeast around 10 knots. Tomorrow we could see, though, some dangerous heat in terms it'll feel more like triple digits, 105 to 108. So as you're out making those preparations for your homes, getting ready, please make sure to stay hydrated and take plenty of breaks if you do indeed feel like you're getting too hot. Those highs there officially, though, near 92. We'll have a couple of days of 90s. Friday is your last good weather day for preparations, and then Irma's impacts will be felt around here. Conditions will start to deteriorate pretty quickly on Saturday. Hopefully by Monday into Tuesday, we will be seeing some clearing around here, and locally those temperatures should still be in the 80s. We'll have much more on Irma and the impacts you could see coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
You're gonna love the Ross Fall Fashion Event. You'll love the brands, the trends, and most of all, the savings. A fraction of what you'd pay elsewhere. The Ross Fall Fashion Event. On now.
You gotta go to Ross. You watched us build it. Now, Florida's largest furniture company is excited to open our newest state-of-the-art Rooms to Go and Rooms to Go Kids Fort Lauderdale Superstore at 1413 North Federal Highway, Saturday, September 16th at 10 a.m. Giving you what you want. Great-looking furniture, amazing everyday low prices, and fast delivery. So shop the new Rooms to Go and Rooms to Go Kids Fort Lauderdale Superstore, starting at 10 a.m. Saturday, September 16th, 1413 North Federal Highway.
What's better than tailgating? Winning big with your Lotto, Fantasy 5, or Fast Play ticket in the Game Day Cash promotion. You can win a new Lazy Days Winnebago motorhome, $200,000 in prizes, and more. Game Day Cash from the Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
Claim it!
We need a pool heater.
Too expensive.
Well, actually, guys, it could be less than $20 a month with a cover.
Save 10 to 20% off store-wide, including 15% off all heating equipment at Pinch A Penny's 4-day fall sale. Don't miss it.
The right pair of shoes or boots can really make an outfit. At Ross, you'll find the perfect pair at the perfect price. So if you're looking for the newest trends, the latest styles, at big savings,
You gotta go to Ross.
All right, here's a look at the Miami-Dade evacuation zones. You see they're color-coded there. The red zone is A, the orange zone is B, and these are the areas that have been ordered to evacuate. Now a mandatory evacuation, as we just heard from Mayor Carlos Jimenez.
And basically, Rudabeh, we're talking about, as you see, Miami Beach there on the right, Key Biscayne are both in A and B, and then to the left you see the coastal areas of Miami-Dade, mostly in South Miami-Dade. So we're talking about areas of Coral Gables, you have Cocoa Plum there, right here in Broward County as well. You see that area there off of Sunrise Boulevard and Old Dixie Highway. So if you're in A and B in Broward County, there's mandatory evacuations. And now we just heard this afternoon, or tonight rather, from Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez that they are demanding mandatory evacuations in A and B. And guys, that's going to be tough. A lot of people are not going to want to leave their homes, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works out.
But there are shelters also open, and we have a list of those in Broward and Miami-Dade on our website, cbsmiami.com. And if you're in Monroe, you just want to get out altogether.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And so is there a chance, though, that the evacuation zones could be expanded in the next couple of days?
Well, there is that chance. And here's the thing about evacuation zones. You don't want to go to shelters. You want to go to people who live inside the zone, outside of the zone. You just want to get out of the zone. So shelters are last resort. Don't go to shelters.
We'll be right back.
For years, I thought I was lactose intolerant. Turns out I was just sensitive to a protein commonly found in milk. Now with A2 milk, I can finally enjoy cereal again.
it's delicious like real milk. Because it is real milk.
A2 milk is real milk from real cows that produce only the A2 protein.
I love milk. I'm so happy I found it.
A2 milk. Real milk that's naturally easy to digest. Love milk again.
Been trying to prepare for this day. I'm still not ready. The reason I'm telling you this is that there will be moments in your life that you'll never be ready for. Your little girl getting married being one of them.
You guys are ready! Oh, you guys are ready!
Ticket, please.
Of course, I got it right here.
There's nothing there.
It's loading. It takes a little bit. Just give me like a minute, guys.
Here's what to get started. Mine works.
Bob realized he needed unlimited 4G LTE data, so he switched to Metro PCS to get the best unlimited deal in wireless. 2 lines of unlimited 4G LTE data for only $75 period, plus 2 free 32-gig phones. Enjoy the best unlimited deal in wireless on a reliable 4G LTE network. Metro PCS, wireless figured out.
Now, all the news on CBS 4 is on the pages of South Florida's fastest-growing news magazine. To find out how you can have the latest edition of the CBS 4 news magazine delivered to your home for free, call 305-477-1699.
All right, just a couple seconds left. We have an update on the advisory in about a half hour.
We're in hourly updates now. We're just the position. At 11, it's the new advisory. But based on the models that go into that advisory, I don't think we're going to see many changes. It's going to be pretty much the same track right across Florida and right with the center points up the East Coast, the I-95 corridor.
And we have 2 days to prepare.
2 days to prepare. Do it.
Get ready. And if you're in one of those zones, definitely evacuate.
Yeah.
And that's it for us right now. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back at 11 o'clock.
Good night. Good evening.
Tonight, an ET exclusive. Jamie Foxx